G'day, have I got a story for you? Check the disclaimer. With butter and jam this time. Season 1, Episode 8. Time passed. Where am I this time? Am I in that room again? Why do I have to wake up here so often? I don't like this room. Or this house. I do not like the cruel mistress or the vicious master. I do not like it. They're turning my sister Bella into such a goody-goody. Oh. Another morning, just like all the rest. I get out of bed and race out the back door. As I squat, hidden by trees, I am amused, or at least I'm trying to be amused, as I think of them checking the empty chamber pot and being concerned about my health again. I have done this for 2 weeks now, and the school mum is very concerned. However, mistress behaves as though it is new information every time they tell her, and the master does not care. If I am unhealthy, it is their fault. They will get blamed. I kick up some dirt so it will not be found, then race back inside. I get dressed and know that, as usual, no one noticed my brief absence. What an inattentive, absent-minded bunch. I wonder what cook has for breakfast today. Should I check, or just be surprised? I know that I will check. I always do. Ew. How I love my butler boyfriend thoughts. Always exceed everything else in her mind. If only she knew that he has 5 other girlfriends. 3 of the maids, the nurse from the carriage, and that well-to-do lady who owns all that land with her wealthy old husband. Butler thinks that the la-di-da lady will marry him when her husband dies. But they have been waiting for him to die for years. He is as healthy as a horse. I think Cook would be far better off with the stable man. He genuinely likes her. I have tried to tell her many times, but she always says that little boys should be outside, not in the kitchen. She does not listen to anything I say. I tried speaking to her thoughts, but she does not notice. Looks like we have got eggs again. I know it is the mistress and the master's favourite breakfast, but I prefer something I can grab on my way past, so I do not have to sit at the table. I prefer eating outside by myself. Less chance of a sudden rage, and the consequences thereafter. The consequences from the mistress are beatings that leave us bruised, and sometimes with broken bones and open wounds. Mistress's rages come often, and there is no warning that they are about to happen. The master's rages are far less often, but he uses a thick cane, and when injuries from that do not satisfy him, he uses his belt. Watching their thoughts does not help. 1 minute they are thinking about normal stuff, well, normal for them. Then the feelings of rage always come first. It is almost tangible the way it oozes off them. It was like the rage feeling took 1 second, to trigger their minds to suddenly stop mid-thought and think, spare the rod, spoil the child, 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 over and over again. Sometimes they would even say it. When finished, they behaved as though it did not even happen, even if we were left unable to get up from the floor. They would just step over us. I remember when I was younger, I often found my sister, well, she is not really my sister, but the mistress birthed her the same as she birthed me. Mistress is supposed to be our mum, but I know better. Neither of us came from her or the master. We were placed here, inside Mistress, by one of the men who I call lab coats. What men? How do I know that? I was really upset about finding my sister in the tub so often, hurt and bleeding back then, but not anymore. As of 2 weeks ago, I am not going to let anything they do bother me. In fact, I am going to mess with everything they do, make sure none of it works, and I might as well amuse myself as I do so. Or at least try to amuse myself. Anyway, 2 weeks ago, when I found my sister, Miss Prissy, naked, yuck, in the tub, with no water. She was leaking red stuff again. That was the last time I allowed myself to be upset. No more. I reject those feelings. I put a towel around her and took her to her bed, which was not easy. She seemed to be in some sort of a daze. I covered her with the blankets. She was so cold. And instead of sitting with her until she came to, I left her there. I still feel guilty about that, but it was just too hard. I had to force myself to stop crying inside and tried to forget about her. Why? Why was she sitting in the tub with no water, in the place where the tub is stored? Was someone going to bathe her on a Tuesday? They moved the tub over near the fireplace on bathing days. Why was it still in storage? Everyone knows that bathing days are Fridays. I found her like that often. What was wrong with her mind? What happened to her? No, I have to make myself forget. I have to. I cannot live like this anymore. From that minute on, I decided that I am going to ignore the awful things and just live my life. I will amuse myself by messing with people just like they all mess with me and my sister. I am going to make myself be amused by making their existence more interesting, making ordinary, everyday things not so ordinary. All these people with their mediocre minds, their thoughts are stuck, unable to reach out or do anything besides reflect on their own small existence. It is like they cannot think of anyone but themselves. Why continuously reflect on such selfish thoughts? Oh, let me see. What can I think of today to help someone? I mean to amuse myself. Oh, I think I will choose cook. Serves her right for serving eggs again and treating me like I'm a nuisance. I think it is time she found out about her true love. I know that Butler will be visiting the well-to-do Mistress Snooty Nose today. Let me see. The master could ask cook to take some of her scones to La-di-da lady after lunch and drop them off at the woodman's cottage at the back, where Butler will be with her. Now, if only today is one of the master's sleepy days. He takes my thought suggestions as though he thought of them himself when he is sleepy. I arrive at the breakfast table and sit down, as I do most mornings. The speed of thought is so fast. Well, my thoughts anyway. Mistress is here as usual and asks the same boring question. How did you sleep? For the last fortnight, I have answered her differently each day, with something that amuses me as long as no one else is here. This time I say, the lion who killed all the horses and ate the stableman kept me awake with such loud roaring that I did not sleep at all. That was, of course, a lie. I made the decision to lie 2 weeks ago when I changed my mind about, well, everything. Mistress, of course, responds with, "That's nice, dear." She does not even know what I have said. Sometimes I wonder about her. Her mind is so different. Is she even human? No one else notices, of course. Well, besides my sister. Everyone all does and says what is expected, and so does Mistress, unless something out of the norm is said. Miss Prissy enters and stands behind her chair. Time to stand up. This is laughable, standing when the master enters only to sit back down again. Should I pull a chair out so someone falls this morning? Should I make the maids trip and drop all the food? Should I make Butler keep missing the plates as he dishes out the food? Actually, I spent the last fortnight thinking about doing all that, and I just could not do it. Not because I was not capable. I just find it hard to do things that hurt people. The thought of doing these things no longer amuses me anyway. I just want to eat and get out of here. It is good that I am a boy. Boys are expected to be outside all day, but Miss Prissy has to stay inside and look perfect. She is good at it, though. I'm glad I'm not her. After breakfast, we stand behind our chairs, and I watch the master leave the room. Will he put his coat on and leave the house, or will he go to his library and fall asleep on the big chair? Of course, I could easily just look to see what he is thinking, but I like guessing. Knowing everything that is happening all the time gets boring. I did not hear the horses or the carriage outside earlier, so my guess is that this is one of his sleepy days. Yes, he is headed straight to the library. Well, time for you to know the truth today, Cook. In a few minutes, he will be sleepy enough, and I will put the thought in his mind. Oh, no! Oh, no. I know the sound of those horses. I need to run outside out the back door, but once again I'm stuck on the spot. Here comes my sister. Bella grabs my hand as usual and tries to make me run, as she has so many times before. What is wrong with her? Does she not remember that I cannot move? No, actually, she never does. Sometimes I wonder if it would be better to be like her, unremarkable in their eyes. In whose eyes? I know that Bella is only alive because of her beauty. She is wanted by many. They are all waiting for her to be a bit older. Then they will fight over who gets to marry her. It will be so bad for her, even worse than it is now. How do I know that? She is crying and still pulling me. She has pulled me so hard that I fell over a couple of times. I remember the time that I was in her room. She accidentally pulled me over, so she put her rug over me and made a dolly tea party on the rug. I thought they would find me the minute they came into her room, but no, they thought the bumps in the rug were pillows. When they were far enough away, she removed the dolls and the rug and pushed me under her bed. They obviously did not realize that she was far too old for dolly tea parties. I thought that she was so clever, and they did not find me for such a long time, although I did begin to wonder if I would be stuck unable to move forever if they did not eventually find me. I do not know why I cannot move when I hear those particular horses and that carriage. I think it has something to do with the lab coats. What lab coats? Why does it hurt so much when I try to remember? This time, a nurse comes in, grabs me so tight by the arm that it hurts, and takes me out to the carriage as usual. I do not understand it. Why do my feet suddenly walk when she grabs my arm? And why am I unable to struggle free from her grip? Why do my legs walk over to the carriage each time, even though I try to make them run the other way? I am so tired of this. Well, I suppose that gives Cook another day to dream of the time she thinks her butler boyfriend will marry her. I realize I could put the idea I had in the master's thoughts now, but what is the point if I am not here to see what happens? Besides, I really could not do that to her. I have to make her understand that he is not a good man, and that the stable man is. I think about doing all these things, but I just cannot do them. People would be hurt, and I don't want to hurt people. As we leave, I see my sister, Miss Prissy, watching at the usual window. I see her wiping away her tears. I used to cry, but as of 2 weeks ago, I changed. Everything is different now. I changed my mind and decided to think differently about things. No longer will I mindlessly do everything that is expected of me. No longer will I stand idly by, just watching things happen around me and to me. No more helpful nice guy. That is right. No longer will I help everyone as much as I possibly can. Well, except maybe my sister. I used to cry like Bella, often. But not anymore. Besides, I'm not allowed. I watch at the window. They're taking my brother again. I hate what they do to him. I hated how he is so confused when he returns. They used to take us together, but I'm not useful. I'm nothing. I'm rubbish. Not even worth taking anymore. I was born pretty, and now I'm called beautiful. How can I be pretty and also nothing? Absolutely useless. A waste of space. How can I be beautiful and also rubbish, refuse, and nothing but excrement? Why am I thinking those things? No one says those things about me. Or do they? Why do I continuously think these things so often? I do not understand it. I have many gentlemen callers, all vying for my affections. We take tea on the terrace, under the watchful eyes of butler and the schoolmarm. The master expects huge bridal compensation for me one day. He thinks I will make him rich, but we are already rich. I do not understand it. Why have gentlemen callers who try to ingratiate themselves to me when I have no choice in the matter? The master will just sell me to the highest bidder, like I am property, rather than a person. Probably to that older man who continues to visit, whose every gift I refuse. I would run away, but where to? There is nowhere I could go, and no one I could go with. All my gentlemen callers are from highly affluent families. None of them would want to leave their prestige and finances behind. When they come and take my brother, I try to think of other things, but my mind always returns to him. What are they doing to him this time? I hate the waiting. I have tried to protect him all my life, and I was the one who made sure he was bathed, fed, and kept him safe. I would step in the way of mistress's rage beatings, so she would beat me instead of him. Until a couple of years ago when he started stepping in front of me. The master's beatings are worse. Oh, and I am so sore afterwards. However, I do not remember what he does. I look for bruises from the cane and belt, like I see on my brother, but I do not have any. Oh, why am I thinking about these awful things? I should check on Mistress in case she is immobilized somewhere. She does that. Becomes immobile, I mean. I do not know how or why, but I know to be careful how I wake her. I have heard the master often refer to Mistress's immobilizations as her delicate sensitivities. But I notice that the more she does it, the more the staff murmur amongst themselves regarding her mental state. She is talking to Cook. Good. She does not need my help. I wonder if I have to put my boots on under all these petticoats and walk to the stable and back. This is required on certain days to make sure I am seen by certain gentlemen who are waiting to catch a glimpse of me. The master knows which days, but I do not want to ask him. I do not want him to tell me to come in and close the door. Why am I thinking of all these awful things? I should think of good things. There must be good things. There are no good things. Well, this is not particularly good, but at least everyone leaves me alone. Every afternoon I have to fix my hair and clothes and sit at the front window doing my needlepoint, where I can be seen by anyone who may pass by. Mistress sometimes joins me at the other window, and she is often immobilized there. At first I tried to help her, but soon realized that this is the one time that it was safe for her to be immobile. No one speaks to us or disturbs us at all, and from outside it would be very hard to see that she is not doing the needlepoint in front of her. I am very quick at needlepoint and occasionally drop one of mine fully completed in her basket, so no one suspects that anything is amiss. My completed needlepoints are often bought by gentlemen callers for their mistresses or sisters or schoolmarms. I am sure they pay too much for them, trying to show off their wealth. Wealth does not impress me. Genuine kindness would impress me. However, I know that if anyone is kind to me, the worse they will be later. What? Why do I think things like that? I wish they would just bring my brother back. Sometimes I scream so loud in my mind, and he talks to me in my thoughts. Oh, I should not be thinking like that. I do not want to be put in the insane asylum like Aunt Belinda. I have asked to go visit her, but now I am forbidden to even speak of her again. And my brother is sure they murdered her. That is ridiculous. Who are they? And why would anyone murder her? I want my brother home now, but I know he will be gone at least all day. The longest he was gone was for 2 months, and I wondered if he would ever come back. The master and mistress would not answer my questions about him, and eventually I was forbidden to ask. When he eventually returned after the 2 months, he was so despondent for weeks, and it was hard to even talk to him. It was like I lost my best friend, and I had no one to speak with, or even just be with. I'm not allowed to speak with the servants, not even the schoolmarm, unless it is to order them to do something. My brother gradually recovered over time. It took weeks. He was always so kind and gentle, and up until 2 weeks ago, I thought that would never change. 2 weeks ago, I woke up in my bed with a towel wrapped around me, and wondered how I got in that condition. That has happened to me before, but my brother was always waiting for me to wake up and make sure I was all right. But this time, he was not there. I washed and dressed and called the laundry maid to deal with the towel and bed linens. Then I went to find my brother. He was not in the house, and I stood looking out the back door, and eventually saw him with the ducks near the pond. I'm not allowed to step outside without permission, so I waved to him, but he did not see me. On that day, 2 weeks ago, when I saw him at the evening meal, he seemed different somehow, as though he had a change of heart or thought or attitude. He seemed less gentle, if that is even possible. When Butler was dishing up, he poked my brother in the ribs as usual, saying,
"Sit up straight, Master Zedric."
Usually he sat straight up, but that day it was like he had changed his mind and would now stick up for himself. He grabbed Butler's finger and twisted it, and Butler dropped the plate of food he was holding in his other hand on the floor. My brother looked him straight in the eyes and said, "Never touch me again." Children are not allowed to look adults in the eyes. It is considered extremely disrespectful. So we all looked downwards, waiting for the master's response. I thought he was going to yell at Butler to get his cane so he could beat my brother. But there was no rage. He roared, laughing, and said that the boy took after him after all. The master then left without waiting for us to stand behind our chairs, and called out that he would have his supper in the den. I think we were all in shock. Butler quickly picked up the food from the floor and left the room. Mistress stood behind her chair and said, "Good night, dear," as she did every night, but usually after we had eaten, and the master had said good evening. My brother looked at me and said that we are not going to be hurt anymore, not if he has anything to do with it. Then he smiled at me. I had never seen him smile before. We just do not do that. And I was not really sure how. He said that he practiced smiling, looking at his reflection in the pond, as though he knew my thoughts. I put my hands to my face and pushed up my cheeks and tried to smile back. He told me to keep practicing and that I will get it eventually. I know him well, and I knew something was wrong. Something was very different about him. Once again, as though he was answering my thoughts, he said that he just changed his mind. It was then that I noticed Mistress. She was immobile, standing behind her chair. I got up, but my brother told me to leave and that he would do it. I whispered to him, "The rages. I do not want you hurt." My brother stood up, repositioned himself very straight, with his head also straight instead of looking down. I noticed how much taller he looked, and his attitude was almost like that of an adult. Or was I just imagining it, as I have so often been told when I notice things? I will never forget this. Zed looked me directly in the eyes and very seriously said,
Mistress will never hurt us again. Not while I'm here.
"Thank you so much for joining me for cuppa. I appreciate your company."